But you can see his thinking here. It's dangerous. He's thinking deceptively, corruptly around money, around making a deal. He can convince himself anything is true in the name of his ideas. And he's really done that. It's not a rational thing, even though he has the Gemini. His Gemini picks up on his deceptive thinking and acts on it, or is complicated or half-truths or half-thinkings, his manipulating of ideas, his obtrusing them, obscuring them. This is the Neptune factor. It's hard to corner him with specific facts. Okay, at some point when this is at its most negative, it'll be very difficult for him to explain what he's done. If he's done dishonest things, he's certainly capable of doing confusing things, or from a religious point of view, really fanatical beliefs. But because Neptune's there, his mind is not stable. It's not realistic. So he'll build up his own family of friends, of groups of people who think like him. And as soon as anytime anyone doubts them, they're pushed out and they're not part of it, he'll go on with the people that are staying with him. So it becomes a smaller and smaller boat in a bigger and bigger ocean. How much education he actually has, how he got it, it'd be interesting to see. He's capable of winging things on his own. We'll get that in a minute. But this Mercury, that's fairly lucid to see that. On top of that, when we go to Venus, his Venus, it has, the only aspect Venus has is that it's conjunct Saturn. Okay, his Venus is in Cancer. He values the home, the family, the tradition, the American way, the home, the family. And he values friends and family and culture from that way, in that way. That's the Venus in Cancer. He values the security of feeling secure. His Moon in Sag, what needs the security and is exposed, but is exposed to so many things. He could constantly see how he interprets any disruption to his personal world, whether it's from other cultures, a very negative way of looking at this, whether he's always his personal world is being disrupted by other cultures, Moon and Sag, and it's upsetting him, and he values the traditional and needs to fight for his security. So both his Mercury and his Venus and the Saturn are all ruled by the Moon. They're ruled by, so the family and how he lives is the overseeing factor, which is unstable, not secure. However, the Venus in the 11th house needs friends, wants friends, like to be able to share with family, make personal connections, have friends that make money, be appreciated by his friends. Yeah, the friends will love him. People close to him will stay close to him. But his Venus is conjunct Saturn. This is a difficult aspect. The image is the young woman and the old man. It restricts and limits the values. This makes him feel he never has enough money. He's never content. He's never satisfied. He's not worthy enough. So he has to work extra hard to make more money, to get more, even though he's pushed beyond bounds of where most people are. This is a stingy factor. He doesn't show his emotions much. He doesn't show his finances or his feeling much. He's over-controlled about it. He's inhibited about it. Because he's inhibited about it, it translates as tremendous ambition to overcome the inhibition. I can read no one, but I'm not going to read this, so I'm going to make something. I'm prove I'm the most independent. I can manage this. I can take care of this. He can do that. But his Venus, his emotions, he has trouble showing emotions and even receiving them. He's stingy. He's tight. He's just controlled around it. So there's not, you could say he makes business connections, but he's not a person to be, you would think normally the Venus in Cancer would be abundant with the family and with the showing and the feelings, but he feels he can relate to him, but the Saturn is there, and it has a really serious, restrict, kind of stingy side, tight with money. Huh. Well, if he had to work to spend this much money to be president, he's going to deserve to use it. I spent that money to get there. It's my turn. I'm going to play it as much as I can. But in a way, that Saturn-Venus might be some breaks on the Mercury, but the Saturn-Venus is the discontent and the judgment of we, the 11th house, don't have what we want. The traditional ways are changing, and they're breaking the defenses. It's being shattered. And why? Because the moon, which rules this, is opposed by Uranus in Sag, and there's all these multicultural factors coming in that are affecting their challenging my words. So we got to fight against this. We have to defend. We'll build a wall to stop those others who don't live in the style that we live in from getting in here. I mean, you can read these things a lot deeper and take them a lot further. I'm just touching the nerve so you can see these factors just one by the steps that we do. And he's a great example because he picturesquely has all these factors dramatic. He's so far out in the world that everyone's seeing everything. But his vulnerability, you know, the crash is going to come sometime. You know, the rug will feel pulled out from him because as more and more people don't go along with him, his support will get smaller and smaller. And his fear of immigration, of other people coming in that aren't our home or our way, is almost going to ensure that the immigration will come in and change it. And in 10 years, America is not white dominated anyways. This last wave of those things. Support for the past, support for the old traditions, for the, oh well. I'm not going to be the historian and going into this, but you can take it and go. Now, we've seen the moon, we've seen the Mercury, we've seen the Venus. We see his personal attitude to things. Whoa. This is where he's coming from. This is how he processes. Venus seduces the mind. So what I don't have or what I don't like, if I don't like something or something's restricting me, Saturn to Venus, it's going to seduce the Mercury, which is going to start saying, well, I have to think about what am I going to do about this? Which is squared by Neptune, which is deceptive anyway, so it's easy to blame other people and get confused and fanatical. And once he gets those ideas, they're reinforced by his feelings of insecurity. And then his Sun in opposition to that, his Sun's going to be, that's the other half, that's the other people. I'm going to push to make my world, my independent thing, my uniqueness happen. It's a funny contradiction. That's two different sides of the person for sure. When we look at his Sun, it's in Gemini, in the 10th house. So he's the free thinker, the independent thinker, the multi-perceptive, manipulative person. He thinks both ways at the same time. He thinks two ways. He intellectualizes things. He's thinking this. Then he gets an idea, he acts on it. So that's the quickness. That's the humor of Gemini, being able to laugh at anything, just being spontaneous, adjusting, just acting on ideas immediately without reflecting on the repercussions. Just go for it. Let's see what happens. Unfortunately, his ideas are based on cultural biases and insecurities and wrong perceptions or confusing perceptions, and he's acting on those. And as he sets them out, he sets up webs of intrigue and deception and confusion and distortion and gossip and scandal. But so the quality of the ideas he gets are not so strong. He's not that intelligent a person. However, his Sun knows how to push to go things quickly, faster than other people do. So he'll do things quicker and get away with it rather than talk about it, to try and discuss it, to be responsible about it. It's the Gemini way. Why would you? Thank goodness some people can do this. It's just Gemini's in power. The Sun in the 10th house. They always tend to use the power for their ideas, but they're not. I mean, Geminis have always been difficult leaders. Well, certainly in America, John Kennedy got killed. In Canada, we had two short-term prime ministers, Turner and Harper. Not Harper. Turner and what's the other one? I'm sorry. Come back to me. Anyways, there's just John Turner was in for and Joe Clark. They just played short-term things out, and they followed their ideas, and it went against the normal wave, and they just got in and out because they don't have the team consensus. They're the independent processors and not the team processors. The most I-me people in the zodiac, most independent I-me people. So his Sun up in the 10th house me. What's powerful? It's me that's powerful. It's my purpose is doing. My will is following my ideas, and look how it's changing the world. No one can stand up to me. And if they do, I'll project over them. I'll get them out of the way. Like, so he'll run the White House like that. And he thinks he's running the country like that, but it's not getting the soul support. He's getting a more and more selective foundation. His foundation, the moon and Sag, the opposition of the sun to the moon. Like he continue, and the more he builds up, the less of a foundation he has. So he gets in a high position, and his home family has its scandals and its problems. Then he gets a political position, then he has his scandals and other things. Like, it's funny contradiction. This mutable sun, moon, immutable signs, the Sag, Gemini, so many ways, so over adaptable, multifaceted, but hard to be stable, hard to be consistent. Okay. Now, that sun up in the 10th house in Gemini has Taurus on the midheaven, so we'll get to that. That's the position for power, for money, to get something for it. But I'm in power, I'm doing it my way. Why? I want to get something for this. It's pushing up to the Taurus midheaven, but he still has this sun opposed the moon, the fight between the past and the future, when he's moving away from the past, trying to go into the future. So as that happens, he's always having to leave his scandals and his past behind to go forward. And anybody who's associated with the past things that weren't reliable get cut off. It's not only was he born on the full moon, his nodes are conjunct the sun and the moon, so he's born on a full moon eclipse. Okay, actually an hour before the eclipse, but it was already starting to darken the moon. So he's born just in the build up to this full moon eclipse, this lunar eclipse. Now his sun, it trines Jupiter. So Jupiter trines his moon, Jupiter trines his sun. The sun, that's fairly lucky from the second house, a career to Jupiter, good understanding about money, easy to make money. It's sextiles to Mars, spontaneous act, no big problem. The one problem is the future's fight with the past, the sun and moon, and Uranus conjuncts his sun. Now Uranus conjunct the sun is about probably one of the better Uranus aspects, because it means independent, excitement, innovative, really almost to a genius level. I can be so independent, but it's a restless factor. It makes him want to go be different. I'm so different. I'm so unique. I'm so special. I can do anything but share. Wow. A president who can't share. A husband who can't share. Who's going to be so busy doing work and making special things happen, when will he have time to be home? As soon as he gets home, it's going to be unstable. He's going to move to something else, go off and solve something else. So he can't sit at home anyways. So he moves fast. The fastness and the speed of things makes him, and his lack of contentment, makes him very superficial and going from here to there and not being able to judge. He knows how to judge what he doesn't have and what he wants. I don't have enough. I want to have more money, more power, more, like, make it this way. So in his own way, he's just lived out his chart and becoming president just to see how far he could take it. And from the businessman deciding, well, if other people can try and go for it to make money, that were businessmen to try and go for president, why can't I? And he went in, he used his smarts, he used the web, he got in his own independent way. It was shocking. But he gave it a try and he pulled it off. That sun in Gemini, conjunct Uranus means excitable, independent, catalytic. I got to live up to this destiny. I got to make some changes. I'm doing this. He's playing out this role to make these changes now. Okay. And with the outer planets, you see them as they move around the chart. You can see the transits and things. But no, I don't want to even talk about that. It's just his need to do it, to work. He can't take orders from anybody. His Uranus in the 10th house, he's got to do his own thing. He can't take orders. So here's the sun comes in and makes it important that he can't take orders. He's got to do his own thing. So he's running the country, doing his own thing to run the country his way. Well, he was elected to do that.